if you ever happen to visit Sweden, make sure you do it in the summer, because in the winter it's really cold, it's really dark, and you'd rather not be there. So usually that's kind of why I'm here. I have the habit to go to Southeast Asia every winter for 2 or 3 months, and I usually go to Thailand. And this time I thought, yeah, I better check out some other countries, so I came here. So when I was in Thailand last winter, I was a lot in the hackerspace in Bangkok. And everybody was talking about the hackerspace in Singapore. It's so successful, and you have to go there sometime. So I came here mainly to see the hackerspace. Since I have given some talks about Android in Stockholm, I suggested that I could give some small talk, maybe 20 minutes or something, at the hackerspace. And here I am today with 90 minutes talking in front of all of you. So I'm a little bit overwhelmed, and I'm very happy to see you all here. So I'm going to talk about Android 2.3 Gingerbread. But before I do that, I'll just introduce myself a little bit more, my background. So I've been a system developer since 1996, and I've been using Java and the kit since 2003, and started doing Android development in January 2010. My main job is with payment systems for payment cards, and I also do some development for Drupal, and quite active in the Swedish Drupal community. But my main interest in Android, and since I started with Android, I don't do much Drupal anymore. Okay, so I have 6 apps on the Android market. And if you go search for my name, Mybeck, then you will find only 3 of them. Because 3 of them are specific for Sweden, so you won't find them on the Android market here in Singapore. And 3 of my apps are open source. You can find them at this location. It's 2 games, Swipe and Roll and Break In. And it's a Swedish app called Tågtider, which is for train times in Sweden. And you don't have to write down all the links, so we'll publish these presentations afterwards. So enough about me. Now I want to know some things about you. So how many of you owns an Android phone? I don't know, 50–60%. Okay, and how many have installed the Android SDK? Oh, it's the same people. That's good. And how many are working with Android? Okay. Very good. So a little bit of a disclaimer, I'm not an Android expert. I'm only doing this on my spare time. So all of you who are working with Android, if I say something wrong, just let me know. Let me know afterwards. Okay, so I'm going to go through not all of the new features, but quite many of them. And I will talk a little bit of each one, and mostly about near-field communication and the new sensors, and the gyroscope in particular. I will not cover the new NDK features, because that's what Bart is going to talk about after my first presentation. near-field communication. This is a short-range, high-frequency wireless communication technology. So you can use it for communication for about 10 centimeters, 4 inches. And this is an extension to RFID, which is already used widely. I think you remember these cards, or I think you know these cards. I understand they are used quite a lot in Singapore. And as far as I know, they both use RFID. We haven't come that far in Sweden. We don't use RFID for payments yet, but we use it for bus tickets and stuff like that. So NFC can be used in 3 ways. We have the first example where we have a phone that reads an RFID tag from some smart poster or from and the second example is where you use the phone to simulate an RFID tag. So you use it together with an RFID reader to make a payment or something like that. And the third option is to have 2 NFC devices communicating with each other. And I was very excited when I heard that Android included NFC. But I got quite quickly disappointed because the NFC support in Android 2.3 is only for reading tags. So you can't use it for phone-to-phone communication yet. Maybe that will come in future versions. So if we compare near-field communication with Bluetooth, we see that the big difference is in the distance. Bluetooth can be up to 10 meters, whereas NFC is somewhere below 20 centimeters, usually around 10. And but the big advantage of NFC is the setup time. It's only 0.1 seconds. It's very quick and very suitable for situations where speed is important, such as payments or paying bus fares. When it comes to speed, NFC is a bit slower than Bluetooth. And when it comes to reading tags, we already have support for that in Android when reading barcodes and QR codes. And if we compare these two, then NFC is faster, but it's more expensive.
Sorry, what do you mean by expensive?
It's more expensive to build an RFID tag compared to just printing a barcode. Okay, I think you should have a t-shirt. You can get it later. That's a good question. Okay, so for the new sensors. Yep.
In the initial slide, you said that as of now only we can read the near field communications for reading the tag. Is it a limitation of the software or is it a limitation of the hardware?
It's a limitation on the software.
Limitation.
So it depends on the hardware. If we talk about XSS, which is the only phone available right now with this, then the hardware has support for both reading and writing.
Okay.
No t-shirt for you yet. Good question. Okay, so moving on to the new sensors. One of the new sensors supported by Android is the barometer. And this is also one of the new features not included in the Google Nexus S. Wrong spelling there, sorry about that. Yeah, maybe that's the next Nexus version. I don't know. So a barometer is used for measuring atmospheric pressure. It can be used for maybe for some weather applications. I'm not sure why they want to put this in Android. If anyone has any idea. What?
For hiking.
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 All right.
To tell you, help with you.
Okay, so the next new sensor is gyroscope. Maybe you've seen a gyroscope sometimes. It can look something like this. It's a spinning disc. But when you talk about gyroscope in a phone, it's a small sensor that measures the rotational speed of the device. And you can't do much with only the gyroscope, but when you combine it with an accelerometer and the compass, then you can get more accurate data about the device position and rotation. So this introduces 4 new sensor events in Android. The first one is the type gyroscope, which is the always run with where you get the rotation speed in radians per second. The second one is linear acceleration, which measures the acceleration in all 3 dimensions. This is similar to the accelerometer. The accelerometer measures the acceleration, but it also takes gravity into consideration. So when the phone is free falling, then it gets only zeros for the accelerometer. So when you just hold the device, then you know which way the gravity is. But as soon as you start moving the phone around, then you don't know that anymore. So, but in combination with the gyroscope, you can get out that information. So if you do it the other way around, then you get the type gravity, which is where you only have the direction of the gravity in meters per second square. And the last one is type rotation vector. And if you want to know what that is, you have to take documentation. I read it myself, and it was quite complicated. So yeah, feel free to read it or Google it. If anybody knows what it is, you can explain it to me. It's something about a vector in some direction and the rotation, and it doesn't have any units. So something weird. Okay, moving on to other features. The UI refinements in this version, it's like to use Google's own words, easy to learn, faster to use, and more power efficient. So it's yeah, I don't have much more to say about that. Android 2.3 also includes front-facing camera, or support for actually several cameras, but the most common is front-facing to complement the back-facing camera. And this is something we've seen earlier in other phones, but then it's something that the phone manufacturers have added themselves. So now it's part of Android. So it will be easier to make applications like video calling and stuff like that. And in addition to this, it's also added to the camera app in Android. So when you take a photo, you can choose whether you want to use the back camera or the front-facing camera. It's also new support for extra large screens. Here we see the new Motorola tablet. It's running Honeycomb, the next version, 3.0. This is 10-inch device, and that's considered an extra large screen. For those of you who develop apps, you know the Android manifest where you specify what type of screens you support, and there you have to add an extra large screen if you want to support that size. Improved performance. This is something that comes in every new version of Android, it seems. This time they have added a concurrent garbage collector. This minimizes application pauses. This has been a problem, especially in games, when you create new objects all the time, and then suddenly the garbage collector kicks in and you have a long delay. That is always noticeable to the user. The next one is improved responsiveness to touch and keyboard events. This is also mainly for games. Same thing with the last one, faster OpenGL operations. They have updated the drivers for the graphics part. The next one is improved text input editing. And if I have time, I will do some demo with that later. What we have is when we select words, you get suggestions for spelling or other words. It's also something that most phones have already, but now it's built into Android. You also have these, I don't know what it's called now, these helpers that you can drag to position the cursor or to adjust the selection. We also have improved power management. This is done by closing apps automatically that takes too much power. They use the CPU too much. This is not done just for any application, but when Android feels that it had enough, it will close it down. And you also, as a user, you will have the user interface to see which applications use most battery. And these have been part of a previous version of Android, but now you can see it for any applications, not only the ones that are built into Android, so also for the applications you install. SIP stands for Session Initiation Protocol, and this is something that we have added for making SIP calls. And I've read a lot about this, and I haven't really figured out why they added this feature. Because you can already install applications like this from the market. It's very similar to Skype, but it's open, and it's also less secure than Skype. So, is there anyone who has any idea why they added this?
Probably getting UIP in the platform itself. It's been like in case of say other phones, yes, again, that's comes equal to UIP. You don't need an extra application. It's the one that has an
Okay.
You don't need an extra application.
Yeah, but does it add anything extra compared to installing a separate application?
Well, it has like the platform, so you use
Yeah.
the same interface. You just have one dashboard where everything. So if you have an email address also, you're just trying to initiate a session. You don't have to do an application. You do it right from the dialog.
Yeah, makes sense.
The part of the E65
Yeah, okay. I guess it's also welcome for everybody who already uses it at their office or somewhere else, that they can now use it together with the phone. it's also easier for applications who want to add this as a feature to their own applications. Currently, it's a problem to test this with the emulator, but I found there's actually, I think it's a bug in the emulator that makes it impossible to test this. But if you follow this link, you will find information of how you can do it anyway if you want to try it before you get a phone. The next feature is strict mode debugging. This is a feature that only developers really care about. So while you develop your application, you can start strict mode, and they detect all the disk reads, writes, and network usage. So you can see if the system is doing something that it shouldn't, or something that you didn't expect it to do. Because operations like this normally takes a lot of time, so it will be very noticeable for the user. This is the part I don't know hardly anything about. Rich multimedia. There is a new audio effects API, and also new media formats. VP8, WebM, ACAM, or wideband. So if these words make any sense to you, then congratulations, we will have it in Android now. Actually, the WebM is, that's, at least I know that's some video formats. Okay, so there's a new application for downloads management in Android, and this is something that you have already on all your phones. You can see what files you download from the browser. But now they have included this as a part of Android, so that any application can use this. So if you download files from some other applications, not the browser, it still will have end up in the downloads management in the downloads application.
Is there a size limit on the download when you want to download stuff, like let's say from that app store or something? And,
not that I know of.
Because if you make like games with large audio files and large assets, and then the game becomes like 300 meg or something, and then it's not really possible to.
Okay.
I
don't know if they've changed anything of that in this version of Android. I haven't read anything about it. Okay, so one more time, if we have some time. Or is it time for the next presentation? One more question.
Right, so what are some of the key limitations you see in the new
Key limitations. The only one I've seen so far is for the NFC that it's only able to read, not write. That's the only one that comes to mind right now. Yeah. I think we'll take the other presentation first, and I'll prepare the demos and make it later. Okay, any questions? Okay, thank you very much.